Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe has said that he has no intention of resigning from his position before his 7-year term expires in September next year. Let's check in with our business reporter Ed Boyd now. And Ed, the Governor has been under pressure since May, when the central bank began lifting rates, of course.
Central banks raised interest rates by 3% since May. There's been 8 cash rate rises over that time period. And the Governor, Philip Lowe, has been under pressure because back in 2020 and 2021, he was basically telling the Australian people that rates would be on hold until 2024. A lot of people viewed that as a broken promise. So the Governor has been under pressure. There's been members of Parliament that have called for him to resign and members of the private sector as well. So today he spoke at a payments conference in Sydney and just addressed some of those calls for him to resign. Take a listen.
That's a matter for the government. My term finishes in September next year. I've got an important job to do, at least up until then, and I intend to do it. Certainly I know there have been calls for me to resign. As I said before, I have no intention of resigning. I have an important job to do. It's a responsible job and I intend to do it. We've got to get inflation down, and that's my focus. And I will keep doing that at least until mid-September next year.
So the Reserve Bank Board will next meet at the beginning of February. That's when they're likely to make another cash rate call. And then after that in March is when the review into the Reserve Bank will be released and given to the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers. So it'll then be up to the Treasurer to make a call on the outcome of that review and whether Phil Lowe will stay until his tenure ends in September, Kieran.
Ed, there's some speculation department store chain David Jones about to be sold to a private equity firm.
Yeah, this was first broken by the Australian's Data Room column earlier this week, and there's been additional reports today in the Financial Review suggesting Anchorage Capital Partners, which is a private equity firm based in Sydney, is likely to buy David Jones for around $120 million. So David Jones is owned by this Woolworths Holdings, which is a South African retailer, and the Australian Financial Review story says over the weekend a series of executives flew over from South Africa to Australia and had some meetings and basically gave the approval to sell David Jones. So the business will be worth about $120 million, and the sale doesn't include David Jones's biggest asset, which is the Burke Street store in Melbourne. So this could be a big deal. It's likely to happen over the next week or so, and it's really a sign of strength for Australia's retail sector and an Australian company, a private equity firm, buying it back off a South African owner, Kieran.
Ed, thank you for that.